Dave, thank you so much for joining me for this inaugural Tell Your Story podcast. Super appreciated and super excited to be in Wales. My literal home, and I should spend more time here. Yeah. But we're here to talk about you. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself, Finis, if that's okay, before we get to your moment.
Yeah, certainly. So, Dave Aspden, I'm 60 this year. Yeah, I know, I don't look it. I've got 5 kids, married to Anne's, and the reason why I'm in Wales is I left home when I was 19 to study at the Polytechnic of Wales, which is, I think, now the University of Wales.
Amazing.
What I called Pontypridd, which I subsequently now know is called Pontypridd. I spent a bit of time after graduating in London, came back to Cardiff to attend a friend's housewarming party, met Anne's, fell immediately in love, and then kind of came back to live in Wales, and we've raised a family here ever since.
Amazing story. Thank you. And we're here really to learn something about you and a moment that's happened in your career. Now, I'm not saying any restrictions on what that moment can be, so we can take whichever direction you want, but we're here to help people make better decisions in their moments. So hopefully people resonate with what you'll say and it'll be useful for folk. Thanks to you, moment, Dave.
Yeah. Well, obviously, given my age, I've probably had a lot of moments over the years, but I think the one that immediately springs to mind from the perspective of impact is why we're here now. Really, we're sat in Stable HQ. Stable, otherwise known as Stable Resources Limited, is the company that was formed back in 2001. So I think it'd be good to share a little bit of history in terms of how that came about. Some of the choices that were made around that time, which have now had kind of a long tail effect, positively, hopefully. So Stable Resources, it's not a name that came about by accident. It was actually a name that the two founders came up with back in 2001 when we were formed. So prior to then, having left Poly of Wales and started working in London, I did a couple of years stint as a kind of a permie full-timer, and then I quite quickly went into contracting. And that was from 1994 up until when Stable was formed in 2001. I've always had a kind of an ambition to set up a company. Obviously, most contractors tend to be one-man bands. Sometimes they'll have side hustles, etc. But the intention for me was to try and build something. I had lots of trotter type ideas in terms of developing in Microsoft Access, because my career has always been focused around Microsoft technologies. But back then, something happened. Fortuitously, serendipitously, being in the right place at the right time. But a colleague who I'd previously worked with basically tapped me on the shoulder and said, I'm moving on, but I need to find a replacement for me. And in terms of a skills match, we were kind of quite aligned. He wouldn't give much away because he said it's very sensitive, very, very sensitive. And so not knowing quite what I was getting into, I kind of followed him down lots and lots of country lanes in Wiltshire, and ended up at the Ministry of Defence in Corsham. I knew nothing about the Ministry of Defence other than what you hear in the news. I didn't have any security clearance, but nonetheless, I was kind of before I knew it, was chatting to Major Tom, who liked me, wanted me to start, and therefore all I needed then to do was to get a contract. Now, up until that point, I'd been contracting through various different IT agencies, and in the back of my mind, I've always had a kind of a secret hankering for the kind of, Luke, who was my agent, had been representing me for many years, very vivacious, a people's person, and his job was the complete antithesis of mine. Mine was very technical, and he was going out finding work for people and being rewarded accordingly by the size of his BMW, should we say? So. I thought, well, that'd be quite a nice job to be an agent, and it reminded me when I was working in London as a permie, I was coming up with business ideas, in terms of what I could do, and an agency was always one of those things that seemed to be a good job. So when I went down to, I then found out that the actual client that I'd be working for wasn't the MOD, it was Microsoft. So it was Microsoft at the MOD. So I had to go and meet them and come up with a kind of an agreement in terms of the commercials and the rates, etc. So I went down, did the introductions. It wasn't so much an interview. It was like, you've already pre-qualified for this role. The first thing Microsoft asked me is, could you give me the name of your agency? So I stopped for a minute and had a little think, and I said to the Microsoft representative, can you give me a couple of days? And they said, yeah, sure. You don't start till next week. So I went away, had a chat with Anne's, who at that point was working at the BBC. We had 3 kids at that point, and explained that there's this opportunity, and said that the plan was that I would set up an agency and I would present that back to Microsoft. And so it was a bit of a chancer. So we thought about what we would call this agency, and at the bottom of our garden we had some old stables. The people who had the property previously kept a pony, and they had these old stables. The dream was that we would convert those into offices, and that would be our commute. Nice. So we called the agency Stable Resources, and hence the name.
Oh, amazing. Lovely bit of history.
Yes. Okay. Now, as it happens, the builders came and inspected the stables, and they were full of asbestos and knocked them down. But nonetheless, Stable. Yes, in October 2001, which will be 25 years this year, Stable Resources was born. I went to Microsoft with the agency details, and they looked at me a little bit odd and said, well, this is you. And I said, yeah. And they went, well, that's fine. Yeah, that's okay. So the signatures were signed. And at that point, what occurred to me was, one of the reasons why we did it that way was that it was 2001, IR35. Anybody who works within contracting will understand the poignancy of what I'm describing here, is that all contractors were worried about their tax position. So for me, having a separation between my work that I'm doing for clients and the agency bit of the business felt as though it gave me a little bit more protection. Yeah. So if there was an inquiry, at least one part of the business would be protected. Yeah. As it happens, a couple of years later, Stable was inquired about. Well, actually, it was my subcontracting company that was investigated. It was a 3-year investigation, and at the end of it, HMRC came back with literally one paragraph to say you were outside of IR35. So we've been operating perfectly fine. However, if it said something differently, then we probably wouldn't be talking here today, David. Which is one of the reasons why I've got deep concerns in terms of not the legislation, but the interpretation of the legislation by organisations that are concerned primarily around risk and are therefore, using the IR35 regulation in the wrong way, and are starving the entrepreneurial aspect of contractors like myself in those days. I considered myself ambitious. I wanted to set up a company, and here we are. 25 years later, we have a company of 50, 60 people. We've got contractors working out in the field, another 40 people. All of that and all of the ecosystem around it wouldn't exist if I'd have been determined inside of IR35. So walking out of TVP in 2001 with my contract, it did feel, unbeknownst to me at that time, because for me I was kind of still a one-man band, although actually technically 2, because the company secretary is always the first employee of Stable. So Anne's is
is the OG. She's employee number one.
And your wife?
She's my wife, yeah, and the co-founder, now CEO of Stable. She gave up her burgeoning career as an exec producer of the BBC in order to basically take the reins in 2015, about 10 years ago. And at that point, interestingly, I was still working as a contractor, but the business was starting to grow, and it needed some coaxing and leadership, and she took the helm. She said, right, first things first, there's two of us, we need your business cards.
Yeah.
And she says, what is your role title? And I said, well, I'm director. She said, well, that's a bit vague, isn't it, director? And she started writing down, and she goes, there you go, that's your new role title. And I looked at it, and Chief Technology Officer.
Nice.
Oh, yes, I was very, very, very proud of my new role title. As Andy's writing something down, I said, what are you doing then? She goes, well, I'm writing my role title down, CEO. And immediately at that point became my boss. So, but yeah, employee number one and employee number two, company secretary appointed a director. And I think we're now to over 3 figures in employees. We're in a good place, and much thanks to the relationship that we have with Microsoft, because those early days in terms of the formation as a supplier into Microsoft have effectively been the catalyst for growth. And interestingly, if you take the 3 cornerstones of the business, which is the security cleared element of working within not just defence but government space, the people bit, as in the way that our people support organisations like Microsoft, and the IR35, interestingly, they are partly the reasons why Stable succeeds, is that we're able to provide contractors with a home against this ever-changing and sometimes a conflictuous world of working as a contractor, because like me and like myself at that time, contractors have generally got that spark, that entrepreneurial inspiration, and they want to thrive, and we absolutely want them to, because who knows, that there could be several more stables in incubation out there, and if we can help act as a place where those companies can form, learn, and develop, then that's only going to be good for the job market, for the UK economy, rather than everybody kind of sticking into the sort of the mainstay. So that's my point of inflection, as it were, when we did the Stable Resources formation.
Super, Dave. So, dare I say, inspirational, because being able to take an opportunity where other people may have just taken the easy path, it's not always easy to make those changes and do the difficult thing, right? And I think there's probably a lesson in there for us all. Sometimes it's good to take the difficult path and do the difficult things, because there is, not always, but there is good things that will come out of those things, right?
Yeah, I mean, life's a learning, and the more variety and the more challenges you throw at yourself, the more you are likely to learn. Some of the learning can be difficult. I remember, for example, so one of the benefits of having an agency is they're a buffer. So that if let's just say Microsoft, being a big American corporate, decides not to pay you for 3 months, then you still get paid because the agency are taking that pain. But of course, unbeknown to me, that pain was now directly, so to the point where I think we were kind of on the cusp of not having a Christmas one year, because Microsoft had been a little bit laissez-faire with the payments. They've nowadays I think most large corporates have absolutely changed the way that they deal with SMEs. Yeah. But back then, I think we got paid on Christmas Eve and did all our shopping within about 4 months. Absolutely. Yeah, and there's lots of significant learnings along the way. So even though we had this vehicle for delivering resourcing at that point, even up until the credit crunch in 2008, it was just me, because I was too busy doing my day job to actually develop the business, and with the BBC. But then the credit crunch did an interesting thing, because Microsoft, like a lot of organisations at the time, used the credit crunch as an opportunity to get rid of a lot of contractors, contractor colours, I would call it. But myself, being a named individual on the MOD contract, meant that they couldn't just get rid of me. And Janice rang me up. Janice was the head of the Microsoft Consultancy Services. Interestingly, she's now on our advisory board. But Janice rang me up and she said, well, we can't get rid of you, so we're going to have to do something with you. So we're putting stable resources on the preferred supplier list.
Oh, amazing.
So that meant that we could keep working. Yeah. But it also meant then that suddenly I'd be in my inbox, I'd be getting these, we need a SharePoint engineer, or we need a Windows consultant, or whatever. And I was thinking, oh, I know someone who could do that. And that's how it all started. We literally got, and it's those sorts of kind of moments that were a kind of like a domino effect.
Yes.
One thing leads to another. And I mean, the learning comes through partly through chance. I wasn't responsible for the credit crunch or Microsoft's reaction to it, but being able to pivot and being able to lean in and help when the situations change, like the IR35 construct. But ultimately, I think it boils down to the essence of who you are in terms of how you deal with those challenges and opportunities. Luckily for me, I've been very extremely well supported by the people within Stable over the last few years, and we've been able to make the most of it, sort of thing.
Yeah, amazing. And I think that leads us nicely into, so what's the advice? What would you want people to take away from this day?
So it's hard, isn't it? Because mine's a very specific story, but I guess underlying to any story in terms of growth, that you could say it is a matter of being in the right place at the right time. But then, why are you in that place? You're in that place because of a hunch or a feel, and there's probably as many opportunities that I've missed and not spotted or not developed as there are the ones that have happened and led somewhere. So all I would just suggest to anybody, particularly if you have an aspiration to build a company, it will probably end up being completely different to what you've written down on paper. The asbestos ridden stables at the bottom of the garden has gone, and we're not greenhouse resources, which is now what's going to be replacing it. But just keep imagineering, keep pivoting, speak to lots of people, that you surround yourself with people that inspire you, because there are people out there that will kind of drain your energy and tell you no, it's not possible. And if you take that route, to my mind, that was the HMRC lot. They were basically telling me that what I was doing was either illegal or wrong, and actually it wasn't, because I knew that I was providing a valuable service. So my advice would be stick with it, and be flexible, and don't expect it all just to happen at once. My story is many years long in terms of development, and I know that there are these sort of startups that can go from 0 to 100, but that path, as we've observed within Stable, that path of growth is painful. I mean, as you go from 2 to 5 to 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 employees, the systems, the processes, the HR, all the things that surround business growth, you require another set of skills completely, entirely other than your tradecraft, whatever that is. And you're going to require some help and some support. So the journey is never you by yourself, I don't think. I think it's always going to be a kind of collaboration, and for us, collaboration is one of the key values within Stable. It's kind of every individual is bringing something to the party.
Yeah. That is amazing. That's been a super interesting story, and super inspired, and I hope it inspires others to maybe take a similar journey. Dave, thank you so much. That's been wonderful.
Thank you, David. It's a pleasure. Cheers.
Hi there. I really hope you enjoyed that conversation that you just heard. And all too often we hear amazing things, but then not have the opportunity to be able to reflect on them properly. So I've provided this bonus audio track so that you can take a few minutes to do exactly this whilst listening to the song and perhaps remember your own moments. Enjoy.
Left and never went back. Different roads didn't map it out. Work was there, I just followed it. Didn't question what it was about. London years and contracting work. Always thought there was something more. Ideas sat in the background, never quite walked through the door. And a call I didn't expect. Right place, not by design. Said there's something you should see. Didn't know it would be mine. You don't always see the moment when it's right in front of you. Sometimes it's just a question, and what you decide to do. Could have taken what was given, stayed inside the line, but I walked away and built it before I knew it would be mine. Asked me for an agency name, paused a second, bought some time. Went back home, looked around, said we'll build it from what's behind. Old stables at the bottom, plans that never came to be. Didn't matter what we called it, it was enough to start for me. Signed the deal and walked away. Still felt like the same routine, but something changed in quiet ways, not as small as it had seemed. Didn't feel like taking a risk, didn't feel like crossing lines. Just made one call, one decision, left the rest to fall in time. You don't always see the moment when it's right in front of you. Sometimes it's just a question, and what you decide to do. Could have taken what was given, stayed inside the line, but I walked away and built it before I knew it would be mine. Cash was tight and time ran thin, waiting for a payment through. Christmas nearly didn't happen, everything was riding on a few. Years went by, still just me, too busy to grow the thing. And the world slowed everything down and changed what it would bring. They said we'll have to use you now, put the name up on the list. Emails started coming in, people I could not resist. One thing leads to something else, not always by design. You think you're holding something small, then it grows over time. Some things break, some things hold, some you nearly lose. But every step that you don't take is one you didn't choose. You don't always see the moment when it's right in front of you. Sometimes it's just a question, and what you decide to do. Not a leap into the unknown, more shift in how you see what was always there beside you becomes what it can be.